Hey guys, Footboss here, and in today's episode of Counted we'll be taking a look into Elise. Elise has been an extremely strong pick in top lane for a long time now, and rightly so. Her kit allows for her to poke with auto attacks and neurotoxin until her foe becomes weak, and then hop in with spider form to finish off the kill. She has a flexible build path and can easily shut down her enemy laner. So let's move on to some champions to use against Elise, starting with Cho'Gath. Cho'Gath is a great pick here for 3 reasons. First of all, his skill set offers him 2 forms of CC, a knock-up from Rupture and a lengthy silence from Feral Scream. This crowd control will aid you if she begins to snowball on you. I'd recommend silencing her before using Rupture as she might repel the knock-up. However, if this isn't possible and Elise uses Repel, try to place your Rupture where you think she will land. Secondly, Cho'Gath's passive Carnivore gives him insane sustain in this lane phase, and sustain beats poke. Elise will be only burning her mana pool if she decides to neurotoxin spam you. And the last reason to pick Cho'Gath is his itemization. It is viable for Cho'Gath to rush a Chalice in this lane, and then go into further defensive items, in example Abyssal Scepter. Cho'Gath's ultimate will deal a huge chunk of damage regardless of his build path, so if you decide to play him, try to farm up the lane, counter build Elise, and then be more useful when late game rolls round. Next up is Malphite. Honestly, I feel Malphite is a weaker version of Cho'Gath for this lane. However, if your team comp needs that initiation with Unstoppable Force late game, you can still pick him. Malphite's passive Granite Shield is great for absorbing some poke from Elise, and it's often worth to stay back a few seconds to let it recharge. Elise has no escapes other than repelling to minions. This means stealing her movement speed with Seismic Shard will be very effective for pinning her down, or equally escaping her. When possible, use Unstoppable Force on Elise while she's in human form, or she might quickly repel away. And as a final note for this lane phase, Ground Slam is rather effective against her, as it will reduce both Elise and a Spiderling's attack speed, thus making the heal from Skittering Frenzy rather useless. As Nidalee, you can outpoke Elise in the early levels. I personally recommend taking AD Brews in Nidalee and poking Elise down with auto attacks and healing the occasional neurotoxin with Primal Surge. Remember to abuse your passive Prowl by dipping into the brush before poking Elise. The extra movement speed will allow the trade to go smoother and hopefully not give Elise enough time to react. Upon reaching level 6 and picking up Chalice of Harmony, the lane should be yours. From here you can choose to AFK farm, attempt to split push, or even roam. Picking Renekton is very risky, but can be extremely rewarding. As a disclaimer, do not pick Renekton into Elise unless you are a good Renekton. Renekton must take lane control early and begin to punish the Elise as soon as possible. Build up your rage and trade Elise often. She should not be able to out-trade you until level 5. An empowered Cool the Meek will help shrug off any poke Elise has managed to land. If you don't capitalise on Renekton's early game, this lane may be very challenging. However, upon hitting level 6, Dominus should be enough to prevent Elise from killing you. Consider getting an early Hex Drinker if you feel like the extra magic resistance is needed. Similar to Renekton, only pick Riven if you feel confident as her. Furthermore, also consider grabbing a Hex Drinker for this lane phase. Riven can outduel many top laners, and with constant dashes, Elise should struggle to cocoon her. At level 3, look to engage on Elise for a full trade. As soon as each auto attack lands, you should cast a spell to animation cancel and effectively maximise your DPS. In this example, I am casting Broken Wings to cancel my auto attack animation, whilst you wait for an opportunity to engage. Valor is great for soaking up Elise's neurotoxins and auto attacks. Your biggest concern will be Repel, as this can be used to dodge Wind Slash, so pay attention to which form Elise is in and try to track a Repel cooldown. And finally we get to who in my opinion counters Elise best, Yorick. In a 1v1 scenario, Elise cannot compete with Yorick's constant harass and sustain. This lane phase will be rather dull, but you will simply farm up and zone her with your omens. On your first back, you can choose between either a Tear of the Goddess or a Chalice, and from this point there is nothing Elise can do. Do not attempt to all-in Elise, the lane is extremely simple, just farm and use omens on her. Make sure to stock up on wards, as Yorick lacks any escapes, and as long as you're left to only 1v1 Elise, it should be a stomp. My general tip for laning against Elise is to not let her get away with any free poke. If you are being constantly poked, she is trading you for free. Instead work on either returning trade back to her, or work on your positioning in this lane phase. An easy way to deal with being poked whilst melee is to use the top lane brushes, or simply stacking up consumables and itemize for sustain. To conclude, Elise is extremely powerful and is a force to be reckoned with. Counter pick her, counter play her, or else the lane could be very challenging. If you enjoyed this counter episode, please feel free to leave a like down below, and as always, come check out my YouTube channel How to Top Lane if you want to further improve as a player. For the next episode of Counted, we will again take the most liked comment in the section below, so please give us your suggestion. Until next time guys, take care.